Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the video lecture series of digital signal processing. Okay, today we are going to learn about something called as the converter, and the very important converter with respect to the signal processing or the signal conversion right from the analog to digital. Okay, so in today's world scenario, we are into the world of digital. Okay, you take n number of examples of the devices which are available in the market. Okay, majority of the devices are in digital form. Okay, or simply we call it as a digital. Okay, you take example of your mobile phone, it is a digital mobile, it's not an analog mobile. Okay, so mobiles comes under the category of digital. Okay, the same thing, we have a lot of n number of the examples which we can quote. Okay, where every product which is launching into the market is all about the digital. Okay, we know, we are familiar with the word digital. Okay, but the question here is how actually this digital is obtained, how actually the digital is formed, how it is created. Okay, from where the digital signal has arrived or from where the digital signal has come. Okay, so there is no such signal in the nature. Okay, where we can have the digital signal. Okay, there is something, a process, we call it as analog to digital conversion. Okay, that analog to digital conversion plays a very important role in the field of digital. Okay, where we convert the given analog signal or the given analog quantity, okay, into the digital form. Okay, such that the signals which we have, okay, when they are processed, okay, they give us the accurate result, they give us more reliable result. Okay, they give many ideas. Okay, where we can implement a n number of applications in the field of digital. Okay, so today in this video lecture we are going to study about the analog to digital converter part 1, which is the basics for our DSP subject. Okay, so let us start with the introductory part of our analog to digital conversion, where we will be learning about what is ADC, that is what is analog to digital converter, which are the various types of ADC, what are the characteristics of ADC and their applications. Okay, and how we can select the ADC, because in market we have a number of ADCs are available. Okay, we will see how to select or which to select for this specific application or the general application in the field of digital. Okay, so introductory, the very first question here arises is, what is actually analog to digital converter? Okay, because we study, the subject here is digital signal processing. Okay, but in this digital signal processing we don't have any signal which is already in its digital form. We need to convert the present analog signal or the quantity into the digital form. Okay, so that is the reason what is actually the ADC, that is analog to digital converter. Okay, so once you get the meaning or once you get the motive of the analog to digital converter, then you can go for why it is important in the present scenario. What happens if I don't have the analog to digital converter? Okay, so that is why the reason we will try to study why it is more important for our communication process or for the electronic purpose. Okay, and then next, so once you know its importance, okay, then we will switch to how does this the analog to digital converter will work. Okay, so these are the three important parameters we will look here into our today's video lecture. Now the first is, what is ADC? Okay, that is analog to digital converter. Okay, so whenever the question comes here is how you convert the given analog signal into a digital signal. Okay, the simple answer is we use analog to digital converter, that's it. Okay, but what are the various process which is done in this analog to digital converter? Okay, so basically this analog to digital converter is a device. Okay, it is a device which comes in an IC package. Okay, you have seen your IC, right? It's an integrated chip. It is available in the market, it is available in the uh, uh, electronic devices where we can easily purchase the converter and we can do lot of operations on that particular converter. Okay, so that comes the secondary part, that is how to choose a best converter. Okay, now at the present thing is ADC is a electronic device that converts our analog signal or the continuous analog input signal to a discrete binary number. Okay, because we only know what is analog signal and what is digital signal. Okay, so if we ask question to ourselves what is analog signal, it is basic is nothing but it is a continuous signal which varies with respect to time t. Right, you take any signal, you take the voice signal, audio signal, video signal, temperature, pressure. Okay, all these fall under the category of the analog signal where they vary with respect to time t. Okay, but what is digital signal? The digital signals, either it can be a 0 or it can be 1. Okay, the another name for the digital number is nothing but it's a binary number, that is binary 0 and binary 1. There is something called as a discrete signal. Okay, there is a difference between a discrete signal and a binary, okay, or digital binary numbers. Okay, because discrete signal cannot contribute to binary number 0 and 1. It has to be converted by making use of converters, again that is encoder. Okay, so basically ADC is a device that converts the continuous analog input signal to a discrete binary number. Okay, now what are the analog signal? You can take the real world examples that contains is either sometimes noise or sometimes the without a noise. Okay, but it will be in continuous in time t. Okay, then what is digital signal here is it's a discrete in time and value, but it comes under the binary digits which contains only 0 and 1. So in this figure, two figures, the first figure here is the analog signal. Okay, you can see the analog signal, it is a voltage signal. Okay, it's a sinusoidal signal. Okay, but there is variations in the amplitude all the time t. Okay, so simply we can say it's an analog quantity or analog signal, or it's a continuous signal which is varying with respect to time t. Okay, but on the other side of the signal, once we do the discretization on this particular input signal, you will get this signal. Okay, and this signal is a digital signal which is discrete in time and value, where you can see the flat signal where we have only two outputs, either it can be 1 or it can be 0. Okay, so first is 0 1, another is nothing but 0. Okay, so this is how we try to differentiate. Okay, so the first thing what we should know here is what is actually the ADC. Okay, definition of ADC, what are the various inputs we can give to the input ADC, and what should be the output of ADC. So the input is always an analog quantity. It can be any signal, but output will be always in the form of 0 and 1 of that particular input signal. Now, why it is important? Okay, why it is more important? Why the stress is given for ADC? Because all the microcontrollers, okay, we know what is actually the microcontroller here. Okay, microcontroller, microprocessors. Okay, you just simply take an example of your computer system. Okay, where you can find the microprocessor. Okay, so similarly, okay, all the microcontroller stores the information using the digital logic, compress information to digital form for the efficient storage. Okay, and the medium for the storage the digital data is only either 0 or 1. Okay, and digital data transfer is more efficient. Then digital data is easily reproducible, and it provides the link between the real world signal and the data storage. Okay, so these are some of the important points which I have mentioned here. So okay, so the first important point is all the microcontrollers store information using the digital logic. Okay, we cannot store a sound signal. Okay, though we have a memory. Okay, you just take an example that the voice recorder app. Okay, you have a mobile phone and you are trying to record your voice. Okay, so now voice is the analog quantity, but once it enters into your mobile phone, okay, that voice will be converted into digital first by using your controller, by using your processor. Then it will be stored into your memory. Okay, either it can be a flash memory, or it can be your erasable memory, or it can be any memory. Okay, general meaning, generally we call it as a memory. Okay, we say most of the time, right? It's a 4 GB memory, 128 GB of memory. What is that actually? The memory, it's a digital memory. It's not an analog memory, it's a digital memory. Simply you can call it as digital, because we are storing the information after conversion from analog to digital. Okay, that is why it is more important. More important is focused on the storage, not on the input signal, because input signal can be converted into digital and then it can be stored. Okay, now the second point here mentioned is the compress information to digital form for efficient storage. Okay, now here we can compress the signal, we can reduce the size of the signal. Okay, we can crop the signal, but once if it is input, okay, we cannot do in the analog form. Okay, because whatever I am trying to speak, okay, it cannot be compressible by nature or at the input side. First I need to convert my information into the digital form, that is binary 1 and 0. Then I will compress my data such that there will be some efficient storage. Okay, you just take an example of the photographs. Okay, for example, if you have captured one photo and that photo is around 4 MB size. Okay, now once you compress that photo, which is in the form of a digital, okay, it can be reduced to 2 MB. Now still after the compression, I have retained my image, I have retained my data, as well as I am trying to create or make the space for other data. Okay, so that is why compression of information is possible in the form of digital, but compression of the signal in when it is in the analog quantity, it is not possible. Okay, therefore it has to be converted into digital. That is why we go for analog to digital converter. The third point here mentioned is the medium for storing digital data is more robust. That is what I have said, that once the storing is in the form of digital, then any data or any input signal can be easily made to store on the digital disk. Okay, that the disk whatever you have, that is memory card, okay, you have a hard disk, okay, you have a CD, you have DVDs, you have a pen drive, okay, you have a cloud, everything is in the form of digital. Okay, so that is why the reason it becomes more robust for the storage of digital data. Okay, then the fourth point mentioned here is digital data transfer is more efficient. Yes, because if you want to transmit the analog signal over a medium, okay, there is a possibility that the noise will be get added to that particular input signal or that particular transmission signal. But once the data is converted into the digital, then there is a small, or there is a very more efficient way of transfer can be possible if the data is digital, that is binary, that is zeros and one. The next point here is digital data is easily reproducible. The meaning of the reproducible here is reconstruction. I can easily construct my original data back. That is what it is more important. Digital data is easily reproducible. Okay, you can take into the another format also. Whatever the signal which I have converted, I can bring it back, because I have all the quantity, all the number, that is zeros and ones. But once in case of analog, it becomes more difficult. Okay, so that is why the reason it can be reproducible. Reproducible in the sense, if you have one input data, you can reproduce it multiple times. Okay, then providing a links provides a link between real world signal and data storage. That is what real world signals, in the sense your voice signal, your audio signal, video signal, they all are real world signals. Temperature, pressure, okay, they all are real signals. Okay, and that can provide a link to our real world signals and our data storage. You can take the whole signal into your data storage, that is the memory, and then you can reproduce. Okay, you can reconfigure, you can utilize, you can go for the development of application, you can go for even communication. Okay, that is why the reason the ADC is more important here once it comes to the communication part or electronics part. Now, how it works, that is more important, because we know what is ADC. We know, we have seen why it is more important. After studying this, how actually the analog to digital converter work. Okay, there are three basic steps or stages for the conversion from the analog quantity into a digital quantity. Okay, here they have mentioned the two stages. The first stage is the sampling stage. Okay, that is sample and hold circuit. There is one circuit which comes here is sample and hold circuit. We have aliasing, then quantizing and encoding, that is nothing but for a resolution. Okay, this you can see here a block diagram. The input is analog signal. Okay, inside there is a analog to digital converter. Then so here there are two stages which are mentioned in analog to digital converter. Okay, so the very first stage here is the sampling. Okay, that is, it makes use of a sample and hold circuit. Then we have aliasing. Then the second step here is quantizing and encoding, which comes under a combined section that is called as quantize, and then we go for encoding. Okay, if you look at this particular diagram here, we have input analog quantity. Okay, here it is not mentioned as digital, it is always analog. Okay, but here it is always binary. You can say either a binary data or binary output, or you can simply call it as a digital output. Okay, which is either 0 or it can be 1. Okay, but in the middle part you can see here it is analog to digital converter. Okay, these two stages, which is nothing but sampling, aliasing, quantizing and encoding, they fall under the analog to digital converter. Okay, so this is the first step, that is sampling we will do. Okay, and these two are fall under the one common group, which is called as the and that is quantizing and encoding part. Okay, so what is actually the sampling? Okay, what you mean by aliasing and quantizing and encoding are more important. Okay, I will just tell how actually the sampling is done. Okay, in analog to digital converter. Okay, let us go to the next figure here. Okay, what is sampling? Okay, sampling is nothing but, I will just take one input signal that will be a continuous signal, or you can simply call it as an analog signal. Okay, the reduction of a continuous signal to a discrete signal. Okay, with the help of the Nyquist criteria. Okay, or it has to satisfy the Nyquist criteria. Okay, the Nyquist criteria says that the frequency of the modulated or modulating signal, it should be twice, or it should be equal to the maximum frequency component of the message signal. Okay, or the fs or the sampling frequency. Okay, usually we denote the sampling frequency, okay, by fs. Okay, the sampling frequency fs should be greater than or equal to twice or 2 times the maximum frequency of the modulating input signal. Okay, so this we call it as Nyquist criteria, Nyquist rate, or simply you can call it as a Nyquist rate in general. Okay, so usually these questions are the basic questions. Okay, which can be asked in the Viva questions also. Okay, what do you mean by sampling? Okay, what is the Nyquist criteria? Okay, so here we make use of the Nyquist criteria, which says that your sampling frequency should be greater than or equal to 2 times the maximum frequency component. Okay, so what is actually here is, if you take input signal, okay, we call it as an input analog signal. Okay, say for example your fm, okay, if your fm is around some 10, okay, then how much your fs should be as per the Nyquist criteria is, it should be 2 times, it should be greater than or equal to 2 times the maximum frequency component. In the sense, it cannot be 10, it cannot be 10, because If it is 10, what is happening? They are equal. They are equal. Okay. Fs should be greater than or equal to 2 times the maximum frequency component. That is called as 2fm. 2fm. Okay. So even we can do this. That is 2 multiplied by 10 is equal to how much? Now it is 20. Now when if it is 2 times the fm, if I take an example that your fm is 10, so it is 2 into 10 is equal to how much? It is 20 now. Okay, for example, you take that is 20 hertz. Okay, if I take in the form of hertz, it is 20 hertz. Now what should be the fs should be either it should be equal to 20 hertz, okay, or it should be greater than that. It should be greater than that. Okay, minimum the frequency for the sampling with this example is 20 hertz minimum. I'm telling minimum. It cannot be 19. It cannot be 19. Okay, either it should be 20 or it can be 21 also. It can be 21 also, because 21 is greater than 2 times the fm, that is nothing but the 10. Now what is the actual value of fm here? Now the actual value of fm is 10. Actual value is 10. Once you put this 10 in this particular formula, it becomes 20. That is 2 fm, 2 times the maximum frequency component. Okay, so that is why the reason here it should be 2 times. Fs should be greater than or equal to 2 times the maximum frequency components. That is why the reason here the sampling frequency should be always greater. If it is less, what happens? The question here is, well, if it is less, what happens? If it is equal, what will happen? If it is greater than that, what will happen? There are 3 different cases should be studied. Okay, when it comes to the sampling point of view. Okay, if it is very less, then okay, then there is a problem of aliasing. Okay, just now we have seen here, right? The problem of aliasing occurs if your sampling frequency is less. That is aliasing. Okay, now 3 conditions what are here are: if it is equal, sorry, if it is less, if it is equal, if it is greater. How many cases? 3 cases. Okay, if it is less, there is a problem of aliasing. Okay, if the signal is less, this problem occurs. If it is less, if it is very less, here you can say if it is less, that is aliasing occurs. Now what is actually, what do you mean by aliasing? Okay, for example, if I take one signal here, okay, this is my sine signal, okay, or the input signal, okay, which is varying with respect to time t. Okay, now this input signal is applied here. The input signal is applied here. Now once it get converts, you will get binary numbers. Okay, you get binary numbers. Now what happens if they are not equal? They are not equal. If it is less, that is your fs is less than the 2 times the maximum frequency component. That is, take an example, that is 19. So what happens is, if because your input signal is a continuous signal, okay, continuous signal, and we make assumption here that this signal, whatever we apply, let us take it is periodic signal. It's a periodic signal. What do you mean by the word periodic here is, it repeats after one interval of time. Okay, it repeats after every interval of time. Okay, what do you mean by interval? Is nothing but from here to here it is first interval, from next cycle is second interval. So t1 first interval, t2 second interval. Okay, this goes on, this goes on. Okay, so therefore if the frequency component is less, okay, when we compare with the Nyquist criteria part, then there is a problem of aliasing. Now the meaning of aliasing here is the overlapping of signals. Okay, for example, if this is one signal, okay, first signal, okay, and there is the second signal, okay, if it has to start from this particular point, but now if it is starting from just at this particular point, okay, what is happening here is this part of the portion is getting overlapped. Okay, this part of the portion is getting overlapped. With a simple definition, we can say that aliasing is nothing but the overlapping of 2 signals. Overlapping of 2 signals. One signal will come on the other signal. Now if the 2 signals overlap with each other, then there is a problem that your information get lost. Your information, you may lose some important information. Okay, so that is why the reason you should follow the Nyquist criteria. Okay, now how to avoid the overlapping in the other sense is we have anti-aliasing filters. We have one filter, the name of that particular filter is anti-aliasing filter. Okay, so this is how we go for sampling as well as aliasing. Okay, so achieved through sampling and hold circuit. Okay, then switch on, that is nothing but sampling of signal. Okay, and switching off is nothing but the voltage which is stored in the capacitor, it holds the operation. Okay, must hold sampled value constant for digital conversion. That is digital conversion. That is, this is the whole problem, sorry, the whole explanation for the sampling. Okay, first we take the sample, first we take the input signal, we sample using the Nyquist criteria, we use a sample and hold circuit, sample and hold, it will sample, hold for some amount of time, and then again sample, then hold, sample, hold, sample, hold. It is just like you will get something like of staircase signal, will get something graph as staircase signal. Okay, so this is how we go for sampling. You can see here. Okay, you can see in this graph, this is my input continuous signal, these are the sampling pulses, this is the sampled signal, and this is sampled and held signal. Okay, so therefore you need to find the possibility such that there should not be any kind of aliasing. Okay, and the whole process of sampling, it will depends on the clock frequency, the use of Nyquist criterion. Okay, increasing the sampling rate increases accuracy of conversion. That is what I have just explained. Okay, if you increase your sampling rate, then you may get very good accuracy of conversion. Accuracy of conversion is nothing but for the given input signal, you will find the appropriate or exact output at the output of your analog to digital converter. Okay, that is why the reason you need to follow the Nyquist criteria, which says that Fs should be greater than or equal to 2 times the maximum frequency of your input signal or the modulating signal. This is aliasing. Okay, so actually meaning of the aliasing here is high and low frequency samples are indistinguishable. Indistinguishable in the sense you cannot distinguish, you cannot make a difference between the high frequency signal and the low frequency signal. Okay, now if you cannot differentiate between the high frequency signal and between the low frequency signal, then there will not be any proper conversion of your input signal. Okay, in the sense there is completely improper conversion of the input signal if you are not differentiating. Okay, and when this happens, if you do not follow the Nyquist criteria, that is what the aliasing says. The first, the thing is you cannot differentiate the frequencies. If you do not differentiate the frequencies, there is the improper conversion of your input signal. If there is improper conversion of the input signal, it means that you are not following the Nyquist criteria. You are trying to avoid the Nyquist criteria and trying to convert. That results in aliasing. Okay, and how this aliasing can be removed or how this aliasing can be avoided, this can be avoided by making use of low pass filters, or the another name here which we can use for the low pass filter is anti-aliasing filter. That is, anti-aliasing filters removes the high frequency signal, not the low frequency signal. Okay, the anti-aliasing filters are made to pass the low frequency signal and avoid the high frequency signals. Okay, so this is how we go for aliasing. And the last method or the last stage of the conversion of the analog to digital converter is quantizing and encoding. Okay, so what do you mean by the word quantizing here is approximating a continuous range of values and replaces it with a binary number. Okay, and why the quantizing should be done here is error is introduced between the input voltages and the output binary representation. Okay, and again it depends on the resolution of the diac, whether it is 3-bit, whether it is 6-bit, whether it is 7-bit. Okay, 2 to the power 2, 2 raised to the power will give a resolution, 2 raised to 3, 2 to the power of 2 raised to 2, okay, 2 raised to 3, next it goes on. Okay, now what do you mean by the word called as approximate? The process of approximating. For example, after sampling, you are getting some number, that is voltage number at particular signal is 0.9. Okay, so 0.9, when you convert it to the binary number, we don't, the value will also come into point values like 0.11111 something. Okay, but here if I approximate it to 1, okay, if I approximate 0.1, okay, 0.1 to 1 for like that is nothing but 0.9. If I approximate it to 1, okay, then what will be the digital number I get here is, it is 001. If it is a 3-bit quantizer, 001. If it is a 4-bit quantizer, it becomes 0001. Okay, similarly you can take another, I can give you one more example. If it is 0.7, okay, the quantizer will approximate it to 2, approximate it to 2. Then what is the binary value of 2? It is 0 1 0 for a 3-bit, it, or it can be 0 0 1 0 for a 2-bit. Okay, so this process goes on. Okay, so this is how the quantizer will do. So what is the operation of quantizer? It will approximate, okay, it will approximate the floating numbers to a standard number or integer number. And then what the encoder will do? The encoder will convert this integer number to the binary number, depend on the type of quantizer, whether it is a 3-bit quantizer, 4-bit quantizer, or 3-bit encoder, 4-bit encoder. It depends on. Okay, so in this way the quantizer will do, and you will get a graph like this based on the input signal which you have applied. Okay, you can see the output also, it will be in the form of staircase. Okay, so it will be in the form of staircase, you will get the results. Okay, and you may also find the resolution also. Okay, so resolution, these are the various calculations which we have done. Okay, so with this topic of analog to digital conversion, I will stop our today's video lecture here. Thank you.